Mentor, teacher, or coach? Is there a difference? Today on the Landlord Coach Daily show, let's talk about it.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0, ignition, liftoff.
Hey everyone, welcome to the Landlord Coach Daily-ish show. My name is Mark Dolfini, Landlord Coach and host of the Landlord Coach Daily-ish show. It is good to see you today and on a frosty February day. And so today we're going to be talking about, is there a difference between a mentor, a teacher, and a coach? And in the real estate space, in this teaching, coaching, mentoring realm that I seem to wander into, I hear these phrases intermingled all the time. And to join me today to hash this all out, and it's gonna be like a full fight, is of course everyone's favorite, Kierra. Well, it's just Kierra. Like at this point, it's just Kierra. That like you just have that. That's just your name. So
presence, you know.
That's right. So today the discussion's about mentor, teacher, and coach, and what's the difference. And I don't know. I mean, I see people often using these phrases interchangeably, at least in the speaking realm. Like you know what I'm saying? Like where you have someone will say, "Oh yeah, I hired a coach." I'm like, well, what does the coach do? Well, he's teaching me how to do, wholesaling, or he's teaching me how to do fix and flips, right? That sort of thing. And for me, I'm sitting here thinking the last teacher, so I think a coach absolutely fits a very narrow definition. And this is just my truth. This isn't the truth. This is just my truth. So feel free to, disagree with me. But I feel a coach specifically and intentionally is someone who will hold you accountable. Right? I don't know about you, but I mean, Kierra, maybe you can think back to your, your high school days, but not very many teachers. I mean, other than high school, I can't think of any teachers that actually held you accountable, except maybe for their grades, right? I mean, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, after high school, once college hit, they didn't care if you made it to class or not. I mean, they didn't even care if they called your name every day and then you showed up on the last day. They still wouldn't even know who you were or care that you were in their class. There was no accountability there. It was all based on you progressing your own self. Where when you had your teacher there to get you to the place that you needed to go, that was kind of the difference as far as that goes.
Yeah. I mean, I think that realistically, there's teachers that I remember very, very much were holding me accountable in school because they knew I could do better than where I was at, right? Whereas a coach, I mean, I've had coaches, and I'm thinking back to my days, because you were, what did you do in high school? What sport were you in? You were tennis. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I remember the story now. So you were in your tennis thing, right? And you may have had your coach teach you some stuff, but your coach wasn't inherently a teacher. Your teacher was like, hey, show up on time, make sure you're getting good grades, make sure you're doing all the stuff you need to be doing. But the one thing that I did notice about a coach is that they're checking your blind spots. You might have developed a habit of holding your racket a certain way, and all of a sudden you may not even realize it. Like, why are you holding your racket that way all of a sudden? And they'll go, I don't know, actually. It's more comfortable that way. Well, quit doing it because it's screwing up your serve, or it's screwing up your return, or whatever, your backhand, or whatever, right? So in that particular case, a coach specifically, in my opinion, I think is going to be someone who's not afraid to hold you accountable. And there are people who are great teachers, and there are people who are great coaches, and they are horrible at the crossover, right? They just are not good teachers. Like my dad was not a good teacher. His method of teaching was to yell at you and then burn you with a cigarette, right? So no, I'm kidding. My dad, well, kind of, but no, but I mean, yeah. He would hit me with a brick, not burn me. I mean, that was just cruel. But no, but his teaching style was like, do it this way, with no explanation as to why, no consideration to my learning style, no consideration as to how I learn, how I need to, hear the information or anything like that. Whereas a coach, on the other hand, is someone who, and there are times where a coach will recognize that you're just in a slump, right? You're just like you're in this funk, and it's not, a good coach will recognize that, right? Did you have a good coach in your world that you had experience like that?
Yeah, I mean, so all through, my younger years, as far as elementary school through middle school, I was a softball player. Got to high school and I decided that I wanted to try something new, so tennis was what I chose. And I can not say anything more good about this woman as far as my coach than anybody else in the world, really, because she took me under her wing and really coached me. She didn't teach me how to play the game. She coached me. She encouraged me and gave me the tools that I needed in order to get to the place that I was at, rather than just saying, this is how the game's played, this is what you do, and now go out and fly, little bird. She actually took the time to give me those critiques.
Right, right. And I think that's a really great analogy because, if we start looking at what a mentor is, right? So we've got the teacher who teaches the fundamentals of the game. They may be terrible at the game, but they know the fundamentals, they know the rules, they know how it all works. The coach can actually, check your blind spots, does know the game, may have been a player at one point in time, and they may have been anywhere from a 5 to a 10 in terms of a player, and being good at the game. But a mentor, in my opinion, is someone that is their niche. That is what they're good at. Like, if I was going to want to have a mentor, if I wanted to learn how to play tennis, I would want a mentor over someone who's really, really good at tennis.
Right.
Because, that sometimes doesn't overlap into someone who can coach, because they may be a terrible coach, right? We could think of, pick your favorite football player. They may be terrible at coaching, but they may be amazing at what they do. They may be amazing at that position, and they know exactly what works for them. But they would be terrible at teaching the game to someone else, and they would be terrible at coaching someone. There's a certain personality that goes with that, right?
Certain skill you have to have in order to be able to coach somebody, rather than to be in that situation. Because when you have more knowledge about something, sometimes it comes off as a sense that you're just barking the orders rather than actually directing the person through the path that you went through.
Right, yeah, and I think that's so. As we're kind of looking at this, that it's funny because we're going to be down in Indianapolis this Thursday talking at the local Real Estate Investors Association there, the CIREA, and so we'll be down there, and the topic there is going to be talking about specifically coaching programs. There's going to be several coaches there that are going to be talking about coaching programs. We'll be talking, I'll be talking about my coaching program that we administer. And, I'm sitting here thinking about it, like, so many of them identify in different ways, whether they are, oh, well, I mentor people. Okay. What does that mean? What does it mean for you to mentor people? How is that different from coaching? And I don't think that people make that distinction, that they're just using those phrases and interweaving them into different things. Now, is there overlap? Of course there's overlap. A good mentor, might also be a good teacher. They might also be a good coach. It would be pretty rare, I think, to find all three of those things in one person, to be honest with you. In terms of I think a mentor is probably who someone is a little bit more niche specific. Again, my definition, who, like, if you're looking to learn wholesaling, or you're looking to just do fix and flipping, or you're just looking to do a certain thing, that's probably where I'd want to mentor, get a mentor that way. Or maybe you can have a mentor in business. I mentored several college students that were coming out of college that I could just help them with just general coming out of college stuff, right? That just things that they didn't know, or just networking things, how to, help themselves out, just because I have some life experience. But I think, honestly, mentoring is probably a little bit more niche specific. Again, my definition. Teaching is obviously niche specific, but it's about teaching the craft. It's about the nuts and the bolts. Like, I wouldn't want to go to a mentor and go, teach me the game of basketball. I would feel like I'd be wasting their time and mine. So I feel like a teacher is someone who's going to teach you those basics, or at least give you the tools for you to learn those basics. So when you do go to the mentor, you're not going, okay, so what's a 3-pointer? What's a 2-pointer? What's a foul? Like that's not the best use of their time nor yours. And then you've got a coach, and a coach is obviously going to know the game. They're going to know the rules, but they're not going to be there to necessarily teach the fundamentals as much as it's going to be holding you accountable and just making sure, you're someone who can check your blind spots. And I think those three things together is really where it starts to really manifest itself in a real powerful combination. Where, if you look at the football, spectrum, you may have a, offensive line coach and a head coach, an assistant coach and a defensive coach and a, coach for all the wide receivers and a coach for just the defensive ends, like all these different coaches, right? And they're very, very niche down. So I think that's probably where the difference that I see between a mentor, a teacher, and a coach.
Yeah, and I feel like when it comes to mentoring, as you said, it's more kind of leading someone into the right direction, not necessarily giving them the tools to get there, but just kind of leading them to where they want to go. Teaching someone is to teach them the fundamentals of what they're trying to learn. Coaching, in the sense, is the person that's going to be like your six, as you could say, have your back. They're going to be the ones that's going to be there for you to make sure that the goals that you personally set for yourself, you're going to hold accountable for. Where the mentor might be like, oh, well, you could try this, or it's okay, or, and a little bit more lax in that sense.
Right.
As far as with a teacher is going to tell you, well, I've taught you these things, so why haven't you applied that? So right. I feel like when I think of coach, I obviously think of, all of the things that we've talked about in the video so far as coaching goes, but I also think of your coach as your biggest advocate.
Yeah, that's a great way to put it. I actually didn't think about the part of the mentoring being a little bit more lax, because the coach is going to be kind of more up your ass, and they want you to win. That's their goal, is to get you to the place that you want to be. Yeah. The mentor is just the kind of, it's almost like when you go to apply for college for the first time, and you go into that guidance counselor and you have no idea what you're doing, and they're there and they just like kind of give you all of the information, and then they're like, there you go.
That's the mentor, and then you meet the teacher, and then the teacher says, this is all of the things that you're going to learn through this course. And then you're like, I don't know how to learn any of that stuff, and I don't understand anything you're saying. So then you find not a coach necessarily in college world, it's not a coach, but you find somebody that's a study group, or somebody like that can be your person that you go to that holds you accountable for those different things that you need to get done.
Right.
So in the college scheme that we're kind of getting back into, I feel like that's kind of how it goes, in example form of that.
Yeah, no, that's great, because one of the things that you probably notice among entrepreneurs, among the coaching students that my coaching students actually do a really good job of kind of understanding that there's going to be accountability. But entrepreneurs, almost by definition, don't want to be held accountable to stuff. They say they do, right? But it's tough, man. I mean, when you're actually being held accountable to something that you said, not anything I said, it's something that they said, that they set forth these visions or goals or whatever it is that they want. And all of a sudden you start saying, well, you said you were wanting to do this thing by a certain date, and now you're past that date. You're past the first drop dead date. Now you're at the second drop dead date. I'm very confused. Like, are you taking this serious? Like, I'm going to start to dial in some real pressure. And some people they think that they can handle the accountability until they get it. And that's...
That goes back to with a coach too. I think you're comparing mentor, teacher to coach. Coach is the one with the most authority, in the sense of they're the ones that you should feel a little bit of pain about if you do that. If you have set a deadline with that coach and said, I'm going to have this done by this point on my accountability, but I need your help to get me there, to make sure I'm there. It's that way that
Yeah.
it comes across as far as the coach goes, where it's not like they're mean, they're just there, that's their
No.
job.
Yeah.
Their job is to make sure that you do what you say you're going to do. And it's in your best interest.
Yeah,
You can't be mad at anybody but yourself.
yeah, exactly, and that's what's hysterical. There was a guy who I was thinking about one time, and we'll wrap it up with this story because we're at 15 minutes. But it was funny that this one guy who he said, how would you want to be held accountable if you don't follow through on what you said? And the guy couldn't come up with anything compelling, and he says, how about this? How about you have to write a $1,000 check to the opposite political opponent for who you support, like, because it was like during like a really raw election year, and you have to support publicly your opposite presidential candidate, and you have to post a check of $1,000, and you have to put it on Facebook, and you cannot explain why. And that person was like a hardcore person in the one side of the party. Yeah, it was really funny. So that you're like, you want to talk about some negative motivation. I mean, people tend to be motivated more by pain than by pleasure, and a good coach is going to understand how to find ways to motivate you in ways that you're going to say, hey, dude, do it or don't, but this is the level of accountability that you're asking for. And he actually agreed to it, so you knew full well that he was going to actually make sure that this happened. But yeah, pretty good stuff. So anyway, well, that's all I have. Kierra, it's always good to have you on the show. It's good to see you.
Yeah, you're a coach to me, so I mean, I appreciate that in all aspects of it. So if anybody believes me out here on the road, he's got to go to.
That's right. Well, the things that you say back to me, I'm like, where did you learn that? And you're like, you? And I'm like, damn, okay, I don't even remember saying that to you. So I guess it's sticking somehow. Osmosis. We work, it's not like we work that far away. So, true, yeah. All right, well, everybody, it was good to thank you for joining us today on the Landlord Coach Daily Show. I know our bride was on here a little bit ago. Hey, Jenny. I don't know if Jennifer Dolfini is still there. It's always good to see you.
Love you.
Yeah, she's saying hello. But yeah, I know there's a little bit of an echo, so we're gonna have to work on her mic. We need to. She's operating on a little. We kind of did this impromptu, so it is what it is, and she's got to get out of here anyway. So anyway, well, that's all I have for today, guys. Thanks, Kierra. It's good to see you.
Yep.
All right, that's all I have for today's show. If you want to go ahead and check out more information on Landlord Coach, you can go to landlordcoach.com. You can go to the free stuff. There's some free videos there. You can check on that stuff there. But please be sure to place a value on your free time, because if you don't, someone else will. But most important, there is no amount of money that will make time irrelevant. Have an awesome day. I'll see you next time.